Hi everyone, in this video I wanted to talk about using plexus for people who have celiac disease. Now first I just want to say that I can't make any claims, and I'm not trying to make any claims that plexus heals or cures celiac disease. So put that to the side. Celiac disease is interesting. It seems like more and more people are getting it, and I think there are certain reasons why, but really the main triggers for celiac disease is you need to be eating gluten, you need to have one of two specific genes, and then there are other triggers that take place. They say it's environmental triggers, but it could be something like a virus or a lot of emotional trauma or even a bacterial invasion of some kind that weakens the overall digestive system or our immune response to those things, and then celiac disease seems to develop. I think celiac disease, I think it takes quite a while of eating a lot of gluten-containing foods, more than we should be eating, and then also the pesticides in the gluten or in the wheat also breaks down or kills the bad bacteria in the digestive system, or the good bacteria in the digestive system. And it all just adds to the problem. Just eating too much gluten, having a high stress life, having these specific gene markers, and then also just having environmental factors come into play, whether it's something like an emotional trauma or a viral or bacterial or even parasitic infection that invades the body, and it just kind of triggers that celiac disease or that celiac or gluten reaction in the body. So obviously if you find out you have celiac disease, you will want to go on a gluten-free diet. And, there's a bit of a learning curve that goes with that if you've just recently been diagnosed with celiac disease. But fortunately today we have so many gluten-free options. We can still have tortillas and breads and cakes and even cookies and all kinds of wonderful foods because we have a lot of gluten-free options right now. So there are 3 suggestions that I would give people who have celiac disease who need to be on a gluten-free diet. Those 3 things are: when you're looking for gluten-free foods, make sure that their first or second ingredient isn't corn. A lot of times people who have digestive issues, and this includes people who have celiac disease, they're also sensitive to other foods. And these other foods that most of us who have digestive issues are sensitive to are corn, soy, sugar, and dairy. And so you want to keep those in mind. And I just don't think it's good to start eating a lot of food, gluten-free foods that contain a lot of corn. There are a lot of other great options out there, like there's pastas and there are flours and there are tortillas and breads where the main ingredients are like the brown rice or even things like millet or quinoa. I think those are a lot healthier options than choosing these other possibly less expensive foods that are made from corn. So that would be one suggestion. And the other suggestion, once it comes to eating gluten-free foods, is, a lot of times people think, oh yeah, I'm gluten-free, I can still eat all the junk food I want because I see we have gluten-free cupcakes and there are gluten-free cookies and there are gluten-free cakes out there. Well, one of the things that you need to understand is if you have celiac disease, you have digestive issues. If you have digestive issues, you probably have a Candida issue. You probably have far too many bad bacteria in your digestive system and not enough good bacteria in your digestive system. The villi throughout your digestive lining are probably broken down. They just aren't absorbing foods, nutrients, and your digestive system isn't set up to absorb nutrients altogether. And one of the things that we want to keep in mind is if we're shoving a bunch of sugar down our throats, no matter how gluten-free they are, which doesn't mean that they're healthy, we are feeding these problems. We're feeding the bad bacteria, we're feeding the Candida, and we're creating an environment within our digestive system that's more acidic and that will just breed bad things instead of good things. So we want to keep in mind that sugar feeds the bad things. Sugar feeds the funguses. Sugar feeds the Candida. Sugar feeds the bad bacteria. So we want to keep the the sugar to a minimum. If you do eat sugar, try to use sugars that are rich in minerals, like things like raw sugar or sucanat. There are coconut sugars, date sugars. Become more familiar with the sugars that are around you. Stevia is a great option. It's not so much a great option for baking or cooking things, but use something like sucanat or rapadura. These are raw cane sugars that have just been dehydrated and they're kind of more brown. And I usually do half and half. I usually do raw sugar, which I get a big bag from Costco, and then I do half. I use half sucanat or rapidura. They're basically the same thing. It's a very brown sugar, more granular sugar, but it's rich in minerals. So minerals feed good things in our body. I think that if we're making good and wise choices about the type of sugars that we're putting into our body, whether it is from fruit or whether it is from starchy foods, whether it is from mineral-rich sugars, even things like raw honey or molasses, those two are also good options. We're helping to feed the good things in our body. We need to keep that in mind. But either way, whether you're eating healthy sugars or not, you still want to eat sugars in a balanced way and not have very much of it, especially while you're healing during that first year. Okay, and then the third thing that I want to talk about with gluten-free foods is when you're eating, make sure you're eating a nutrient-rich diet. Eat lots of vegetables, lots of fruits. When you're making a gluten-free meal, if you're making things like muffins or pancakes or waffles, you can actually use a gluten-free flour. And this is what I do. I'll just tell you what I do. Of course, you can find your own way of going about this, but what I do is I actually grind up equal parts of millet, quinoa, lentils, brown rice, and gluten-free oatmeal. And I grind all that up together and to create a flour. I use my Blendtec blender to grind that up. You could use like a wheat grinder as well. And blend that up and then store that in the fridge. That'll be a flour that you use often, at least we do. And I take half of that and then I take half of a gluten-free flour. Like we get our gluten-free flour from Costco. A lot of times these gluten-free flours are pretty nutrient deplete. If you look at the ingredients, usually the top two are things like potato starch and tapioca starch. Those are the top two ingredients in these gluten-free flours, and there aren't very many nutrients in that, and it's very starchy, and I think that's a little problematic for a digestive system that's trying to heal. But so I like to just add nutrients to it. So I take half of this mixture of these grains over here, and then I take half of the gluten-free flour that I get from Costco, and I do one part and one part, and then I just use that as my flour and then follow the recipe like usual for cookies and for cupcakes and for muffins and for pancakes and for waffles. So it doesn't really work for bread, right? Gluten-free, it's difficult to make gluten-free bread, but you can use this even for things like pizza crusts or those are basically the main recipes that we use them for. And so just keep that in mind. Okay, so one other thing that I would highly suggest is drinking bentonite clay. Right off the bat, I'll just say if you're taking prescription medications, you may not want to drink bentonite clay because it will draw that or pull that out of the body. Bentonite clay there are just so many stories of people drinking bentonite clay and the amazing effects that it has on the digestive system, especially for people who have celiac disease. So one quick story Neil Bosshart has shared with me a couple times is he knew of a lady who had celiac disease, and it was a very severe form of celiac disease. She couldn't even be in the room if flour was in the room. She'd be down for days after being exposed just to flour, gluten-containing flour. And she'd be down for days. If she had any, it would be the same thing. It was pretty dramatic. It kind of had a huge effect on her life. And she decided to start drinking clay. So she was obviously gluten-free along with this, but she started drinking 1 to 2 cups or glassfuls of bentonite clay water every day. And she did so for about 6 months. And Thanksgiving was coming, and she said, "You know what? I don't care what people say. I don't care what might happen. I'm going to have a piece of pie on Thanksgiving Day." And she ended up eating that pie, and her husband was nervous about it and just thought, oh gosh, here we go. But the next morning she woke up and she felt just fine. Hi, Ty, you're fine. And she felt just fine. And she woke up and she said, I'm going to have myself another piece of pie. Okay, so that to me just shows, okay, this, bentonite clay is pretty powerful. So what is it doing? Why is it helping here? Bentonite clay has the ability to add electric ions to our body, which stimulates healing. And then it also adsorbs and absorbs positively charged substances. Positively charged substances are usually these toxins. So it's things like heavy metals, pesticides, bad bacteria. So it draws it onto itself and then it eliminates it from our body. So if we're doing this regularly, this is going to speed up the process of healing celiac disease. Okay, so you definitely want to do that. I will have a link to my bentonite clay video that I made like about a year ago to show you how to make it. You're not drinking clay sludge and it doesn't taste horrible. All you're doing is stirring 1/4 a cup of bentonite clay powder into a large pitcher of water, and you're stirring that together, allowing the sediment to drop to the bottom, and then you're drinking the top water. So it looks almost completely clear, but yet it's still having those amazing effects. And the taste there isn't a strong taste at all. It tastes maybe mildly minerally, but most people have found that they crave it, that it's something that they really need or want. Just once again, keep in mind though that if you're taking prescription medications, you may not want to take it if the prescription medication that you're taking isn't something that's like saving your life and you have to depend on it in order to stay alive. I would say maybe just make sure you're taking it about 3 to 4 hours away from the prescription medication and see how you do with it. Or talk to your doctor about it, obviously, and see what he thinks about that. So gluten-free. So be on a gluten-free diet. Make sure you're getting a lot of nutrients into your diet. You can do that by eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, healthy foods, other gluten-free grains. I haven't even talked about that. We have so many great options. We have millet and we have quinoa. We have gluten-free oats. We have beans that we can eat, like all sorts of wonderful beans, like even things like lentils, which are just really easy to cook up, and just find different recipes and simple recipes that you can make and incorporate that into your diet. And then, okay, so of course, obviously we need to talk about healing the digestive system. It's one thing to stay away from gluten-containing foods, but it's a whole other ballgame, and it takes you to a whole other level to actually work on healing your digestive system. So there's a video that I'll put a link to underneath this video, but it's about healing your digestive system. It's a video that I put together about healing the digestive system in 3 different ways. So the 3 main ways are that I found, and let me just say here, the reason why I know about these is because I had Lyme disease for 7.5 years, and I had to figure out how to get as many nutrients into my body and help heal my digestive system, and I studied and researched this stuff for over 12 years. Okay, so in all of this studying and researching that I did, there are 3 main ways that I've found that we can heal our digestive system. 1, it's the fermented foods and the bone broth and the supplement method. 2, it's the herbal and supplement method. And 3, it is the plexus method. We have 3 great options right here. The one that I have found to be the most convenient and most effective and most easy to stick with is the plexus. So my passion, once it comes into this MLM product, is that I'm seeing that so many mothers understand like the bone broths and the fermented foods or the herbs and other supplements that they could be or should be taking, but they never really stick with it, and they never really get the results that they're needing, either because they're missing some important supplements in with all of that, or they just don't know if what they're doing is right. They kind of question it, and that lack of faith in what you're doing will cause you to stop making these steps, and you're not going to get any progress. You're not going to make any progress. You're not going to see any permanent results if you're finicky with what you're doing. You've really got to say, this is what I'm doing and I'm going to stick with it. So whichever method you choose to use, whether it is the bone broth method or the herbal method or the plexus method, choose it and believe in it and stick with it. And stick with it. If you have celiac disease, you want to stick with it for at least 6 to 12 months. It took a long time for you to get to the point where you're at, where your body ended up having celiac disease. It's going to take a while for you to heal that digestive system. And that's definitely something that you don't want to skip, healing the digestive system, because it's going to help heal almost, I can't say everything else in your body, but when we heal the digestive system, it affects just about everything else in our body, including the liver, the gallbladder, even our thyroid, our brain, our immune system. It increases serotonin levels. It helps balance brain chemicals, and it helps our body produce vitamin B12 again. So a lot of times people who have digestive issues or celiac disease, they aren't making enough vitamin B12. So if we have enough good bacteria in our digestive system, it actually makes vitamin B12. Like a lot of people are downing all this vitamin B12 in capsule form and these vitamins and trying to eat more foods that will help produce that as well. But really, our body can make it itself. So with the plexus method, which is what I'm going to choose to focus on in here because I see it as being the most effective and convenient option here, just to understand that it heals the digestive system in 8 different ways. And like I said, I'm not claiming that it's going to heal your celiac disease, but do I know how effective it is at healing the digestive system? You bet. Do I think it's the most convenient option? And I want to say the most medicinally potent option. And what I mean by that is, a lot of these other options and these gut healing options or these gut healing supplements that are out there, they're good for kind of a low-lying, acute digestive condition. But I like to really come in and really use something effectively and consistently that will be very thorough at healing the digestive system. And that's what I see plexus doing for others. That's what I felt it do for me. That's what I found it does in all the research that I did about this product. So down below, I'll also have a link to more plexus information. But just keep in mind that if you are working with your own sponsor for the plexus information or for the plexus products, order it through them. They know you better than I know you. They know your situation better than I know your situation. And they'll be able to help you and guide you and help you know which of the products you should be using and how often you should be using them based on your situation. So definitely go to your sponsor or sponsor means like the person that you've been talking to about plexus, the person who introduced you to plexus. So go to them and ask them and just get the link from them so you can order the plexus from them. So basically, let's just summarize. Those are the 3 main things that you want to do if you have celiac disease, in my opinion. You definitely want to be on a gluten-free diet. You want to make sure that you're getting plenty of nutrients into your diet. You want to go on a gut healing program of some kind, and I do think that plexus is a very effective, very thorough option for that. You don't want to eat. You want to stay away from sugar. It's okay to have some. Like, don't feel bad or guilty if you've slipped and you did have some. If you're able to, drink some bentonite clay water after you've eaten more sugar than you should have. That's what we do. It's kind of like our way to cheat a little bit sometimes when I know I've had too much sugar. Well, let me just say here, so I'll just add this in the video. When I goofed and I ate too much sugar that day, and I just think, oh, I know I shouldn't have had that much. I do one of 2 things or both things. I drink bentonite clay water, just a glass of it. And I also take an extra ProBio 5 at night. ProBio 5 is one of the plexus supplements. ProBio 5 is what breaks down Candida. It's 5 specific probiotics and 5 specific digestive enzymes, along with grape seed extract, which is an antifungal, a natural antifungal. And all of these are really effective at breaking down the outer layer of Candida and getting it out of the body. And you know what? Now that I talk about that, that's something that I should have mentioned here. If you're wanting to heal your digestive system and heal the celiac disease, you want to eliminate Candida out of your body. You have to get that out of the picture on a daily basis. It takes a while for the body to really, and the digestive system to really heal and balance itself in a way where it will permanently keep Candida out of the picture. So one quick story here. This kind of really surprised me. So both my daughter and I have been using Plexus. She's had chronic digestive issues ever since she was a baby. So right when she was born, she wasn't thriving. I had an epidural, and I think it affected her negatively. And she wasn't thriving. She wasn't really breathing well. They whisked her away to a hospital. She was on antibiotics for about 2 weeks from the get-go. And hi, I'm doing a video. Okay, sorry, another little interruption. And she, so ever since she was a baby, she would cry a lot. She couldn't have dairy. She was just sensitive to specific foods. And she ended up just having chronic bloating, chronic constipation, acne as she got older, and eventually thyroid issues. And if there's one thing that I could just shout out to mothers and women who are trying to heal their families, it's take care of the digestive system thoroughly with whatever option you're choosing. I see plexus being the easiest option. But anyway, so we ended up putting her on plexus, and she was able to start using the bathroom regularly almost immediately, which was a huge blessing for her. And then, but even like 3 months into using plexus, she still had the intense sugar cravings. And I thought, why is that not going away? And I was kind of really frustrated with it, because even like immediately, about 3 weeks after using plexus for myself, I could tell that I didn't crave these nutrients. I didn't feel like this animal anymore that needed to stuff my face. I just could eat small portions and say, that's all I needed. Like, I just felt like I got all the nutrients I needed from it. I felt far more relaxed, no more sugar cravings, but yet she still had those issues. And after using plexus, she ended up, so it was 3 months into it, and she still had the sugar cravings. She still had chronic bloating off and on. Like, after she'd eat, she'd be uncomfortable every time. This has gone on for years and years. And then just recently, in the last 2 weeks, she started getting a headache, and this headache grew in severity. The headache lasted for about 2 weeks. So this was maybe like 4 weeks ago, and the headache started, and then it started getting progressively worse. And I just thought, we've got to detox you. So we detoxed. We backed off of some of the plexus things because I felt like it was just too much. But then as she kind of started recovering, we kind of upped the plexus again, especially the Probio 5 to kick out the Candida. And then suddenly it was like a light turned on. Everything just kind of cleared out. The bloating went away. She no longer had the headaches, and she suddenly is saying she can think more clearly, and she's not having any of those digestive issues that she was having before. And it was like, and she started having those two exact same things that I said in the very beginning, in the 3 weeks that I was into it. She said she just doesn't feel like she needs to eat very much. After eating a little bit, she feels satisfied, and she doesn't have sugar cravings anymore. So both of those are just amazing. So just know that it may take time. You definitely want to eliminate the Candida, keep those nutrients up, keep that gluten-free diet going. Look at your grocery stores. Just keep your eye open for the gluten-free foods that are around you. There isn't one particular store that we like that has all the gluten-free foods that we want. We love Costco for specific things like their gluten-free ramen noodles that we add like vegetables to, like cabbage and carrots and stuff. And then we love their gluten-free flour. But then we have other stores like Smith's that we like to, and we like Costco's gluten-free bread. But then there are other stores that have other gluten-free foods that we like tortillas. We get from Smith's, and and Good Earth, we like to get our pasta from there. I usually just get whatever's on sale. So it's a bit of a learning curve, like I said, but it definitely is doable. And if you just keep some of these points in mind, I'll kind of lay them out underneath because I feel like I kind of was all over the place in this video. But hopefully this helped you a little bit to understand what you can do to help heal your digestive system while for your celiac disease condition. And just remember to give it time. It's going to take time to heal. It took you a long time to get to this point where you've been sick, and you probably have been sick for a long time. And just healing your digestive system by doing these steps, you're going to make tons of progress. I'm guessing eliminate more than just this one like gluten-free autoimmune issue that's going on inside your body. You'll be able to start absorbing nutrients better. You'll be able to, the inflammation in your body will reduce. You'll get rid of the Candida. It'll help clear up your brain. It'll help balance chemicals in your brain. It'll help boost your immune system. There's so many wonderful things, and even help balance your hormones, because a lot of times gut-related issues affect the thyroid. And then you'll be able to uptake nutrients better, and it'll just help heal your cells in general. Another video that I'll post below this is another video that I'd created about how the digestive system eventually, like how it heals our liver and our other organs, but also our cells, how it just ends up healing just about everything in our body. And so I'll post that below as well. But hopefully this video has been somewhat helpful for you. Like I said, go to your sponsor that talked to you about plexus if you want to use it, if you're thinking about using it. They do have the 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you feel like it's not doing anything at all for you, then you do have the option to return it and get your money back. So it's definitely worth a try. and hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.